So, welcome to today's coaching clinic, calling in bigger things. And I really want to speak to this topic today because it's something that I have learned as I've gone along, that really calling in what we want and calling in new and fresh or bigger is less about working on your self-worth and deserving it, and much more about who you're being. Are you being someone who is constantly busy-minded, constantly active and busy, and therefore with very little mental and energetic space? Is your bandwidth, if you imagine your state of mind like Wi-Fi, is your bandwidth big and wide and you have plenty of capacity? Or is your bandwidth quite narrow because your mind is constantly planning, evaluating, worrying, jumping into the future? So there's a few things I've seen around just the role of state of mind when it comes to receiving what we want, calling in bigger things, calling in fresh and new. And this is hopeful because it means you're one thought away from a whole new world. It's not about perfecting yourself more. It's not about reading a ton of books to get better at improving yourself. It's not about even taking, manifestation action steps to get what you want. It's one thought away. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. That goes against what the whole personal development industry suggests, which is, if you work hard on yourself and work harder on yourself, and the harder you work on yourself, the more you'll achieve and get what you want. So this is hopeful. This is hopeful that what you're looking for and what you're wanting to call in, what you're wanting to experience, is one thought away. And how we get to that one thought is a quieter state of mind, is a state of mind that can handle what's in front of her. So let's just join together now as we go into a very gentle exercise, meditation, that will help us open up energetically and mentally. That will help us open up our capacity, our bandwidth to receive. Join with me now, just close your eyes, and with your feet on the ground, just breathing in through the nose and out. One more time, in through the nose and out. See roots coming from those feet, down through the ground, down into the underground, all the way down to a rock at the bottom of the earth. And wrap those roots around that rock. This is the rock of your divine nature. So from this rock, imagine golden energy flowing up from the rock into the feet, into the ankles, and up through the shins, the calves, through the kneecaps, up through the thighs, up into the torso. Let this golden light just rise all the way up through the body, through the back of the spine, right on up to the neck, up to the back of the head, up through the front of the body, the torso, the chest, up through the throat area, into the face, up into the head and out through the hair. And just enveloped now in this golden light. Continue your breathing to the count of 4. And now just letting go. So often we're holding a level of tension and pressure that we don't even realize. So letting go in order to call in bigger things, new things, fresher things. So I want you to imagine yourself now just walking along this gorgeous golden path. Gently walk along it. And at the top of the path is a body of water. And I would like you to just, as you are, step into the water. This water is healing. This water is warm. This water is like a spa. Just step into the water and let it cleanse you. Let it release you. Let it cleanse and clear for you whatever is holding you down. Obligations, the need for approval, worrying about people judging, being afraid to say no, always agreeing and overcommitting yourself. Feel yourself just being cleansed of all those shoulds. And as you walk out of the water, you're walking out now, up some steps, freely out of the water, lighter, clearer, and energetically more available to call in what you want. The sun is drying you within seconds. You're comfortable. It's easy. And there's a bench in front of you now that you can go and have a little sit down on. So go to that bench and just sit there for a moment, connecting to your needs, not to what the world says, not even to what I say here, not to what all the books you've read have told you. Right now in this moment, placing your hand on your heart, on that bench with the sun beaming down upon you gently. Connect with your own wisdom and simply ask, what do I need in order to call in everything I'm desiring? You might see an answer, you might get an idea, an impulse to do something differently. You might hear an idea. And if you don't have anything coming to you now, set the intention that you will know as you wake up in the morning. Those waking moments are fresh and full of abundance for ideas and clarity. Now, stepping up from the bench, we're walking away from the bench, back onto the golden path, along the path, away from the water, and back into this moment where you're sitting or lying comfortably. Feel the weight of your body without judgment on the chair, on the bed, wherever you are. And taking a couple of breaths now in through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And out through the nose or the mouth, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And out through the nose or the mouth, 2, 3, 4. Let yourself be. Feel yourself healed. And on a scale of 1 to 10, just notice how energetically open do you believe you are on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely energetically open, ready to receive, nothing in the way, rarely overcommitting myself, rarely busy-minded at the moment. And 1 being totally kind of drained, exhausted, overcommitted, worried, stressed. Just notice without judgment where you are on that scale. And check in on that over the coming days. See roots coming from your feet down through the ground, down into the underground, and right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Letting yourself be completely supported there. You've opened yourself up expansively in letting go energetically. And you've awakened a clarity on that bench, whether it comes to you immediately or it comes to you tonight or first thing in the morning. You've awakened a clarity on what you need personally to help you call in the new, call in the bigger, call in the fresh. So just as we come back, welcome here, Beverly, Lauren, Lillian, Pamela, great to have you here today. Just as we come back to the clinic, back into this moment, you know, we don't realize sometimes how busy we're being mentally. People sometimes say to me, but I had a rest, or but I took such and such off my calendar. What's really important for a mental and energetic bandwidth to open up so that you can receive all that you want. What's really important is that you are mentally less engaged in what's going on. out of your mind is where you want to be. That's why many people do silly things to get out of their mind, because they're just in their mind so much. But when we're in our mind so much, we're not energetically open. We're mentally closed down. And I want to share a little story with you that really taught me about this personal experience. I remember being at the end of a retreat with a mentor in Devon. And I felt kind of proud of myself because I noticed that my mind wasn't in insecurity. And I decided to stay on for a few days at that retreat. I decided I was going to stay for a few days on my own. That's what made sense to me. It was finished, it was over. People were flying back to wherever they were going. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna be kind to myself here. I'm gonna stay on. And I remember calling Francesco and saying, calling my partner, honey, I want to stay on. What do you think? And he said, absolutely, stay. Get whatever you need. And he always knew I would come back fresh, because when I went away to take care of myself, to take care of my mind, to travel always yielded a clarity. But the coaching that I was getting with the travel I was doing was very powerful. It was very grounding. So here I am at the end of this retreat in Devon, in England, beautiful place. And I'm on my own now, and I'm taking a walk through the countryside. And it's occurring to me, wow, my mind's quieter. And I'm not having insecure thoughts. Like Bob's kind of shut up. So I was feeling a bit, like I said, proud of myself. Within minutes, as I'm walking along that country path, I started wondering what I might have for breakfast. And I knew there was a coffee shop at the end of the road. And I started wondering, should I have the English breakfast or should I just have a coffee? And if I have the English breakfast, well, that's probably not going to be conducive to me taking a walk, because now I'll have ruined my walk. And how many calories is in an English breakfast? And if I get to the coffee shop, maybe they won't have the type of coffee I like. And maybe it'll be, I don't know, maybe the coffee shop will be closed. And when I get to the end of the lane here, should I take a left or should I take a right? Maybe I'll go left. It suddenly hit me. Whoa. The noise may not be insecurity in my mind, but there's still noise. The noise I was now experiencing had gone from insecurity about life and myself to planning and evaluating the future. That's still noise. Planning and evaluating what you're going to do with a few minutes from now is still noise. I didn't know that. Now, the flavor was nicer, I will say. The flavor of that noise was a bit less critical than Bob's typical noise about me. But it was still noise that closes the bandwidth in our mind, takes us out of the present moment, takes us out of clarity. So instead of noticing the beautiful surroundings I was in, instead of maybe getting a download or an idea or a fresh direction for my life or my business, I was energetically and mentally caught up in What am I going to eat at the coffee shop? And which, should I turn left? Should I turn right? What if, what if? This is how we close down. Now, you don't want to get obsessive about your thinking, but you do want to just notice where you might be busy-minded, busier-minded than you realize. Because when we want to get clarity and we want to call in something new, there is a level of mental bandwidth we need to see clearly. There is a level of energetic bandwidth we need to call in. Here's the hope. They're both one thought away. They're not a million miles away. You don't have to get on airplanes to go and get them. But my experience is that when I travel, I drop out of a lot of noise. When people come to me here as well for their retreat, they seem to come out of their noise and get clear. But it's not the travel that's doing that. You want to see that it's one thought away. So I invite you to get a little bit of a taste for, or a flavor for, what's going on in your mind over the coming days. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how mentally open do you think your bandwidth is? 10 being, yeah, totally, the Wi-Fi inside my everything is working perfectly. Just where are you on that scale? Because that will help you. That will help you move the needle forward. So as I carried on, it was very interesting to me that I got to the coffee shop. And even though I had planned and evaluated why I shouldn't have the breakfast and how many calories was going to be in the breakfast and whether or not I should have the breakfast or just the coffee, what came out of my mouth in that moment was, I'll have the English breakfast, please. What that taught me was all my planning and evaluating in advance was so habitual and unnecessary. When we get into the moment, we know what we want. We can analyze it way in advance. We can think about it way in advance. We can debate it way in advance. But in the moment, it'll come fresh for you. I was speaking to a client last week and I said to her, listen, I'd just love to know, like, what's been your experience of working together? And amongst some beautiful pieces she said, something stood out for me that was poignant. She said, you know, Grace, you've taught me to rely on fresh thought in the moment. Before that, I used to constantly think up what I might need to say to my team. You've taught me I can rely on what comes to me in the moment. Well, no different to me in the coffee shop. In the moment, it came to me, I want the English breakfast. In the moment, it comes to you, regardless of your planning it, regardless of your evaluating what you should do, not do, whether you should or you shouldn't. In the moment, it comes to you. If you let it, it's one thought away. It comes to you clearly, fresh. So your bandwidth is important. Now, there's a few ways you can help your bandwidth open up. Here's the good news, right? First, you're noticing what's going on in there, not analyzing it, just noticing, oh, there I go. There's Bob going off again. Or there I go planning and evaluating. Why do I think I need to plan and evaluate everything in advance? Oh, there I go thinking about dinner when it's only breakfast. Okay. Oh, there I go worrying. You just notice without judgment. That's the first thing, because in your noticing, it's miraculous. In your noticing, thought loses its grip. You have a choice in your noticing to continue to pay attention or not, to continue to engage the planning, the insecurities, the worry, or not. So notice the flavor of thinking you're in, okay? The second way you can open up your bandwidth mentally, that's mentally and energetically we're talking about here, is learn to say no. This is the journey that I'm on. Learn to say no. In other words, look out for where you're overcommitting yourself out of habit, not out of desire. Go do whatever you want to do from a place of desire. Oh, I'd love to do that. I mean, where are you overcommitting yourself habitually? Oh, I better say yes. Oh, that person needs me. I better respond. Oh my God, I've got 10 messages on my phone. I need to answer everybody now. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll do that for you. Where are you overcommitting yourself? Because that is a way that the mental and energetic bandwidth gets zapped. Anything you're doing that's not from a place of passion and presence is just, it's kind of wasted. So you may have to allow yourself to get a little bit bolder about saying no, noticing where you're overcommitting yourself habitually. This is different to simply minimizing your calendar. Minimizing your calendar will not, and delegating will not open your energetic bandwidth. It might open something for you, like it might just make you go, oh, thank God I don't have to do that. That's helpful. But just removing things from your calendar or not putting things on your calendar doesn't necessarily open you up energetically to call in bigger things, to call in new things. What opens you up energetically is a spaciousness that starts with the mind, less busy, less active, less insecure mind, less noisy. That starts there. State of mind is more spacious. And it also starts with you committing to what is passionate for you rather than habitual. I hope this is making sense. The third way to open up your mental and energetic bandwidth is, in my opinion, to be rested. And that restedness can come in the form of sleep. In other words, don't go against yourself. If you feel you need to have a nap at some point in the day, do it. That restedness comes from a really good night's sleep. And that restedness also comes from meditation. I don't know if you engage meditation or not, ladies, but I'm a really huge fan of transcendental meditation, TM, where we use a mantra for 20 minutes. Okay, it's meant to be twice a day. I don't always get to it twice a day. But what I've noticed with TM compared to other meditations that I do, I've noticed a restedness that emerges. I've noticed a deepening of rest and quiet. And sometimes I've found it more beneficial than an afternoon sleep, than a siesta. So the third way is, I'm not saying the third way is meditation. I'm just saying The third way we open up energetically and mentally is to be rested, right? Don't be doing activity after activity after activity after activity with no break or space in between. That's insanity. That's energetically scattered, and the bandwidth just goes whoop. Take your time, give yourself space in between activities. Give yourself space in between appointments. Give yourself space in between conversations as best you can. Restedness opens up the mental and energetic bandwidth. And when you're in restedness, I don't mean flick on to social media and scroll and now you're back into a mind that's active. I mean, take a note out of the Italians' way of life. I mean, just sit quietly. If you're having your coffee, just have your coffee. If you're wanting to read a book, that's okay. Have a little book and have a line out of it. Doesn't have to be forever. It can be for 5 minutes, but don't do activity after activity after activity after activity. That's not spacious. Okay. So those are 3 ways that I encourage you to begin to open up your mental and energetic bandwidth. Those are 3 powerful ways that you begin to experience the ability to call in fresh and new and bigger and bolder. So the hope in this is that it's not a million miles away from you. It really is one thought away. And then there's a couple of these things you can do to help yourself. So let me see. I think I had a little question here from somebody. Thank you for telling about overcommitting. I needed to hear that. Yes, yeah, no problem. I'm glad you heard it. That's good. Space is a luxury we can all have. Yeah, it's something, space is a luxury. It is, but it's something we must carve out for ourselves. If you find yourself never having time, never always being urgent, everything's always in a rush, then it's a really good indicator that A, you're not giving yourself space, and B, your mind is really tricking you. It's going fast and it's tricking you. Okay, so we want to just settle in. Questions? What have you got for me today? Questions, comments, insights, anything you want to hear about? Now's the time. We can open up here. You can type in the inbox or you can come on the screen. It's up to you. Let me know, friends. How do you differentiate overactive thought compared to practical planning ahead? That's a good question, Lauren. First of all, only you could know the difference because it's in your head, it's in your mind. But I will share from my perspective how I know. Practical planning, like, okay, I'm going on holidays. I need to book a flight. So I'm going to go online and book the flight. I'm going to find a flight. I'm going to look at dates. I'm going to get these things in order. Practical planning is kind of done and dusted. It's not for me. It's not constantly going over in my mind again and again and again and again, that's overactive thought. Like, am I going to go? Will I go on the holiday? Should I go on the holiday? Will the holiday take place? I wonder when I'm going to get around to doing the flights. Will I do this flight? Should I do that flight? Oh, let me see the flights. Oh, there's no flight. Like, it comes with a different feeling. To me, practical planning ahead is just kind of boom, boom, boom. It's like, last week I have a meeting with our, what would you call her? Our travel expert here. And the practical planning for our group retreat was, what are the dates? Which space are we going to use? What are the events that we're going to do through the space of those 5 days? So we had a meeting, we sat down, and it was just done and dusted. It was practically planned out. I went home, I didn't think about it anymore. That's it. It's done and dusted. The next step will happen where I put that into form so people can see it. That's practical planning for me. There's no more thinking about it. Overactive thought is mulling over and over and over, and it's heavy, and it comes with a lot of drained energy. People wonder why they're tired, and they don't realize thought is exhausting. It's not because you're necessarily doing too much physically. It's that your mind is so active that by the end of the day or the middle of the afternoon, of course, you need to lie down. I hope that helps, Lauren. Pamela says, how do you get a mantra? And Lauren, let me know. You can write back in, please. How do you get a mantra? Well, I think you're referring to the TM mantra, the Transcendental Meditation. It's very specific, Pamela, to your basically a teacher came to me. I hired a teacher to teach me this meditation, and she came to me, and based on my name and my date of birth and something else, she gave me a mantra which is personal to me. So I encourage you, if you're interested in that sort of meditation, just look it up online. There'll be someone near you in the city who can come and teach you and give you your specific mantra. Lauren says, very helpful distinction. I do it a lot. So stop recognizing it, but this was very helpful differentiation. Yeah, this is it, Lauren. It's very innocent. We do it a lot. We don't really realize that even positive thinking is more thought. It's still thought. It's a lot of energy. Planning and evaluating is a lot of energy. Insecure thought is a lot of energy. And then we wonder why the mental bandwidth is down. Here's a really good indicator. Here, do you want to check your mental bandwidth? This might be universal, although it could just be personal. You will know if your mental and energetic bandwidth is down by how you start feeling about other people. Okay, if other people are starting to look like bitches and bastards to you, and that might be a bit extreme, but if they're even just starting to get really irritating and really annoying, if you're noticing you're getting snappy, if you're noticing you can't handle their company, really good indicator that the mental and energetic bandwidth has gone down. We get tired and we get irritable. Now, it can look like the other people are the problem. It can look like the bank account is the problem. It can look like the image is the problem, or the weight that you weigh is the problem. It can look like your house is the problem. But we've come to realize on this journey, what we're experiencing on the outside is an indicator of what's going on the inside. And the state of mind goes down, the bandwidth closes, the energetic spaciousness gets lower as we get tired. We make ourselves tired by overcommitting. We make ourselves tired by too much thought. We make ourselves tired by listening to Bob. We make ourselves tired by beating up on ourselves. When irritability, tension, stress, upset, I'm gonna tell you a funny story now, upset, all indicators that the bandwidth has narrowed. So I'm walking along my street the other night, and I've just had a lovely dinner with my friends. I think it was Friday night. I just had a lovely dinner with my friends. I've got my dog with me, and I'm walking along, and there's a bunch of grandmothers sit on my street. You know, they all live along here, nonas. And they get their little plastic chairs out at nighttime in the evening. They all sit together, and they're not particularly friendly to me. I'm probably a bit of an enigma, you know, but they're okay. They're pleasant. So I'm walking along the other night, and I've got my dog Celestino, and good evening, good evening, good evening. And then this one Nona decides to have a go at me in Italian about my dog's dog hair. So she's shouting at me about his dog hair, and I'm thinking, what? How has she got dog hair? He's not near her house. Anyway, I knew my state of mind must be low, because instead of me taking the time to ask her, ma'am, could you tell me calmly what you're trying to say? What's my dog's done? What's happening? Instead, I just teared up inside, and I went to my house and I closed the door and I started crying. so innocent. And it turns out my friend came in, and he said to me, what's the matter? And I said, well, they're shouting at me about Celestino and blah, blah, blah. And it had turned out that he had brushed my dog. And they were trying to say that the dog's hair had ended up in one of their houses. Wasn't even my fault at all. But I was feeling low, and something so unattacking and so innocent kind of just took me off guard. And my reaction in that moment was kind of like, oh my God, I can't even take care of my dog properly, and people don't like me on the street. And these nonas are all talking about me. I knew better. I knew, oh, Grace, your state of mind must be quite low. You need to have a good sleep. You know, you need to let go of this thinking that these people are watching you and your dog and you're not welcome on the street. I mean, what is Bob telling you about these nonas? Right? It happens to all of us. I should know better, right? Because I know with what's going on a lot of the time. But instead of me getting embroiled in that conversation, and instead of me getting curious about what they wanted to tell me, I took it personal, and I had a little bit of a cry, and I realized, that's what's so powerful about this, and I realized, oh, Grace, you must have dropped. And so that is so helpful when you realize what's going on, when you start to get irritated, when you're starting to take things personal, when the slightest little thing is making you cry, when people are looking like bitches and bastards, close the door and get a good rest and take care of your state of mind. You're one thought away from a whole new world, from a whole other experience. And sometimes that one thought is just from a really good rest. Sometimes that one thought is just from you realizing, oh man, your state of mind has dropped. But you want to use tension, stress, upset, taking things personally as good feedback for where you are on the Richter scale between 1 to 10 on how open your mental bandwidth really is. You can't expect yourself to perform brilliantly, to produce high results, to be able to engage conversations with people who are angry with you, or to be able to handle conflict when your state of mind is low. That is the time to walk away, take a break, take a rest, close the door, be gentle. I hope this has been helpful today. I've shared a few examples and 3 powerful pieces that will help you to open up energetically and mentally. And I'm open to another question. If you have one, write it in now or come on the screen. In the meantime, what I would like to invite you to is to go deeper on this. If you really want support around this, our beautiful new chapter program is starting on August 10th. Fresh content, 4 weeks, gorgeous group of women. We're going to be together exploring your new chapter. And part of your new chapter is in helping you open up energetically and mentally. I'm not saying that you open up energetically and mentally forever and ever. But what I'm saying is you begin to open up in such a way that your life just gets a lot simpler. Instead of engaging conflict, instead of taking everything personally all the time, instead of being swept off your feet by discouragement or lack or, I don't know, inability to produce or perform, instead of these things taking you down for weeks on end or months on end, you have the opportunity in those 4 weeks to actually see something fresh that changes the course of your direction, that changes your experience of how you're running your business, of how you're doing your life, of how you're being in this world. And it's especially poignant for those of you who are wanting to step into a new chapter. Maybe you've been through a loss, maybe you've been through a breakup, maybe you're in this moment where you don't know which direction to take. You will really get a lot from this. So I'm going to just type it in the box here. We have an early bird on until Thursday the 21st. You can join us on the early bird offer and you get a fabulous bonus. If you've been on the course with me before, get in touch. I have a fresh bonus for you and I have a fresh price tag for you if you've already been through the first round. And just to share with you on that course as well, you really can expect to not just open up your bandwidth energetically and mentally to call in bigger things, but you can expect to get your clarity. You'll really experience a deep level of clarity as your mind settles down. Okay. And this way you can begin to script your new chapter rather than pulling ideas out of the air. Oh, I'd like this. Oh, I'd like that. You can really hear divine mind's direction for you. You can expect to go from scattered to focused. Okay. You can expect to deepen your relationship with divine mind, with spirit, with God. You can expect to cultivate a stronger and clearer connection and distinction between when wisdom is guiding you versus Bob and insecure thought in your head. Right? There's so much you'll get from these 4 weeks together. Go ahead and have a look at the sales page. See if it speaks to you. Trust your wisdom on whether or not it feels right. Come and join us, engage the whole experience, and walk away in a new chapter for yourself. Walk away in the ability to create and start in something fresh and new, letting go of the old and letting go of a lot of what's currently stopping you. Thank you for your message here. Thank you for all your wisdom. I needed to hear that. I was irritated and tired for some days now. Now I'm on vacation. I needed 2 whole days to get enough sleep and just be. I was dealing with guilt of taking time off just for myself. Yeah, interesting. We really don't need to even listen to that level of bob in our head either. You know, feelings of guilt and feelings of shame and feelings of upset and tension and stress. Our feeling is letting us know when we need to take a break. All right, everybody. I hope this has been helpful. Look forward to being with you next Tuesday. And I'll see most of you either on our coaching calls and in our new chapter course. And write to me if you have any questions. gracefulcoaching@gmail.com. Lots of love. Bye.